Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us for our workshop. My name is Tara Bruno, and I'm here in the counseling department. I'm going to go ahead and put our PowerPoint up that we're going to be using today to review study hacks for adult learners with kids at home. Again, my name is Tara, and I am a returning student and also had two children while I went through college. And so I'm really happy to be here today and share some of the things that I've learned and maybe help you along your way in your academic pursuits. So here's our agenda. First, we're going to be talking about making a plan and a schedule. We'll also be discussing creating a dedicated study space, establishing a routine, taking breaks and utilizing self-care, utilizing your support system, and a newer concept post-COVID, integrating learning with your children. All right, here we go. So like I mentioned, part one, making a plan. Having a plan is really important for us to be successful because it keeps our goals and direction in a clear path. So generally speaking, for each class that you have, you want to dedicate a minimum of 2 to 3 hours of study time for that class per day, about 5 hours, 5 days a week. So a total of about 10 hours a week in addition to the time that you're spending in that class. Now, this could be different days of the week, right? Or maybe one day you can do 3 hours. But as a general rule for each class, you want to dedicate at least 2 hours of study time per day to follow up with any notes that have occurred during the class and do any assignments that are in your syllabus. All right, so one way that we can stay on course with this plan is by making a visible calendar and actually identifying where our study times are going to be, when, what days, what hours, and also important to identify important dates and deadlines. So for example, if you have your syllabus up, you can go ahead and mark down, when your midterm is, if you have a final paper that's due, if there are any specific assignments that are due. These are the ones that you want to go ahead and put in your calendar first so that you can be clear of what your plan is working towards those goals. Also, we don't want to forget the importance of our holiday celebrations and family celebrations, right? So make sure to include those times you're going to be taking off and saying, no, this day we're dedicating to celebrating. I also recommend developing a timeline to complete the class assignments by counting backwards from the due date. So generally, for example, if I have an assignment that I know is due in 4 weeks, I'll look at that deadline of what that date would be. Today's February 24th. I would just guesstimate around March 26th will be the deadline for 4 weeks from now. So I would work backwards and look at what are the things I need to do to complete these assignments and put that on the calendar as well. And also what I think is really helpful and some of the things we don't do sometimes is celebrating our small successes. So when you accomplish a milestone on your calendar, put a sticker or decorate it, or better yet, have your kids decorate it, right? This really gets them included and feeling like they're part of your learning process. So as a tool, I also put here some study calendar templates that you can download and use for yourself. There are just some ideas up there for you. You can do a quick Google search for this. I definitely recommend keeping it in sight. So either hanging it up on the refrigerator or a bulletin board or wherever that everybody can look at it and see and say, reference and say, hey, we know this day, this is what's happening because we have study time, right? Or we have an assignment due, or we have a celebration. Okay, so having that study calendar in a clear, visible place is really helpful. Part two is to create a dedicated study space. Now, there are many benefits to doing this, and I understand that we could be short on space depending on what our home environment is like right now. So, we're going to do our best with what we have, even if it's a small corner, or the way you rearrange your furniture in your bedroom, just to help bring more focus, productivity. Like it mentions here, the benefits. It minimizes distractions, encourages routine, and it also can reduce stress and support your academic success. So again, you want to pick a spot in your home. If you have it, if it's available, preferably near natural lighting. and has some space on the floor around for children to play. We want to make sure we are decluttering and organizing that space. Again, that de-stresses and makes us focus and helps us to accomplish those goals in a more efficient way. So we also want to make sure we have the right tools. Okay, and there's a lot of resources I put at the end of this presentation, but you want to make sure you have the technology needs. You want to make sure you have a laptop, maybe even something for your children, depending on the age, if they're learning along with you. You want to make sure you have a comfortable study space, right? A good chair, good lighting, so that you're not putting strain on your eyes. I also generally keep a ton of fidget tools around because, you know, I like to use, you know, several parts of my brain while I'm learning. And believe it or not, there's actually a lot of research that shows use of fidget toys while studying can increase your attention span by 10%. Okay, so it's always cool to have lots of fun fidget toys around. I also love my aromatherapy. This kind of keeps me in a very calm, you know, nice feeling. But I definitely recommend these are kind of cheap, easy ways we can create a stress-free learning environment. And if you prefer a sound machine, right? Or maybe something that's just quiet and soothing in the background. Really important, personalize that space. Make it yours. Use your favorite colors, hang up your favorite posters, maybe your favorite quotes that inspire you to keep going towards your goals, maybe pictures that your kids made, pictures of your family. So make sure you're personalizing that space and you're seeing parts of your life there, because that'll also bring the full picture together, right? You're studying, but you're still incorporating your home life while you're doing that. Okay, so part 3 is establishing a routine. And this is really important, especially when we are managing a household and then also going to school, right? Routines are pretty much what we need to live by. In addition to that, kids thrive on routine. So rather than making your own studies separate from the family routine, we can try to integrate them. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in the 5th section as well. But we're going to, you know, we can encourage our kids to dig deeply into their own education as you invest in yours. So when you're making that calendar, you can include your children, right? And ask them what they think. When do you think would be the best time for us to study? When can we put 2 hours aside and study together? On what days would be the best? Some tips for getting children prepared for the study time once you've decided when it's going to be. I always like to use the 15-minute playground warning, right? This helps children just kind of ease into the next thing that they're going to do, as opposed to just having it kind of thrust into them right away. So kind of 15-minute warning. Hey, it's 5:45. Remember, the calendar at 6 o'clock says we're going to study. You know, and I would even do a 5-minute warning, right? It doesn't hurt. Maybe even during dinner or before then, discuss what activities they're going to partake in during study time. Do they have a reading assignment at work, at their own school? If it's a younger non-age school child, non-school age child, sorry. You know, perhaps there's something that they've been learning on, whether that's coloring or letters, or pictures, things like that. So you can discuss what you're going to be doing. This way they're prepared and you know the plan. Also, if you have older children, you know, this is an opportunity to give them a little bit of responsibility and work alongside with the younger ones. I also recommend developing a non-verbal communication method for interruption. So if there's something that your child needs during these study times, you know, you can develop a sign language that would let them know, you know, this is a timeout, or they may need something. There are very simple sign language methods you could look up online, but you can make your own non-communicative sign language as well, as long as everybody's on the same page as what that means, right? Also, discussing healthy boundaries, right? And when is it appropriate to interrupt study time? So, you know, as a parent, you're going to decide, right? Are bathroom breaks something that needs to be interrupted, or is that something that your children can do on their own? Are snack breaks something that's going to be interrupted, or have you already prepared and put snacks out? Right. So discussing when is an appropriate time to interrupt study time, and how do we do that, right? So that it doesn't create a glitch in the routine, okay? And another good thing that you might want to invest in, and you can use an old cardboard shoebox, you can use a cereal box, really don't have to spend a lot of money here. But you can create a study box and even have your child decorate it, right? And ask them to pick a handful of toys that they love to play with on their own. That coloring books, storybooks, crafts, figurines, so on and so forth. And when it's study time, each child will go and get their study box and they'll have those things already kind of dedicated for that time for them. All right. So part 4 is really important as well. Even though we want to get a lot done in a small amount of time, and cramming is very, very common in the college life. Believe it or not, research shows that taking breaks and taking care of ourselves is actually more conducive to being an effective student. So taking purposeful breaks anywhere from 5 minutes to 60 minutes from studying to refresh your brain and body increases your energy, your productivity, and your ability to focus. So keep in mind, social media doesn't work well as a purposeful break, right? So if we're saying, okay, I'm going to take a 10-minute break away from my screen and maybe, go outside. If we're opening up our phone and scrolling, that's kind of going to eliminate the idea of taking a purposeful break. So the idea here is we really want to be mindful and intentional and just kind of refreshing and recharging, okay? I would definitely recommend including break times in your studies, right? So if you've set up aside a 2-hour block of study time with your children, put in a few 5 to 10-minute breaks within those 2 hours so that you're managing anything that may come up during that time. During those breaks, I definitely recommend trying to do something physical. That's always helpful to bring up those natural endorphins that create, develop those creative juices. Also stepping outside, getting fresh air. These are all wonderful ways. Drink some water, have a snack, but definitely invest some time in taking breaks and making sure you're taking care of yourself. This is also good routine to help our kids get established with too, right? So then when they become older students, they'll be like, no, I was taught how that taking breaks is important, and that'll be embedded in their learning style. So a little bit more on self-care. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, self-care means taking the time to do things that help you live well and improve both your physical and mental health. This can help you manage stress, lower your risk of illness, and increase your energy. Even small acts of self-care in your daily life can have a big impact. So I put some tips here for you. But regular exercise has such an amazing mental health benefit. Even just 30 minutes of walking every day can boost your mood and improve your overall health. Eating healthy regular meals and staying hydrated is super important. Always making sure you have some water, a little snack on the side, helps us again maintain that focus and be an effective learner. Also making sure that we're getting enough sleep. And I laugh because I know with younger children, this could be difficult, but we do our best, right? 7 to 8 hours a night. And also reducing our blue light exposure from phones and computers before bedtime. This will help us have a more healthy sleep routine. We can try relaxing activities like yoga, meditation, breathing exercises. Believe it or not, setting goals and prioritizing them is a degree of self-care, right? So when you create that calendar, you develop that plan, that is self-care. Practicing gratitude, right? And we can do this with our children as well every day, and staying connected. So even though you're learning from home, and a lot of your time is taken up with your family obligations, we still have a vibrant student life here. For distance learners, there's tons of resources online and where you can get connected. And we have a ton of student services, clubs, and organizations on all of our campuses here at CCP. So self-care looks different for everyone, and it is important to find what you need and what you enjoy. All right, so it may take trial and error for you to discover what works best for you, but I did put, again, some resources here on how to practice self-care. And these are self-care wellness toolkits. There's also a version in Spanish here as well. But it'll give you ways to increase, so this is your environmental wellness toolkit, 7 strategies for improving environmental health, okay? then we have feelings here. This is emotional wellness toolkit, building resilience, reducing stress, getting quality sleep. All right, so these are all resources that you can use, and they are printable. So you can go ahead and print them out as well if you'd like. All right, and part 4, we're going to talk about utilizing our support system. More than 1 in 5 college students are raising children while attending school, with 53% raising a child under 6. And this is in 2021, okay? So you're not alone, this is common, but a support system is a necessary component to mental health, well-being, and academic success. So your support system could include family, friends, and loved ones. It also could include us over here at the counseling center. It can include your faith-based groups, your community organizations, and believe it or not, online, there are a ton of parent learner support groups. You can look up on Meetup and other, if you did a Google search, there's a lot of forums for parent learner support groups. But oftentimes in our culture, we're kind of discouraged from getting or asking for help. But I will say, every student that is successful academically, whether a distance learner with a family or not, you're going to be more successful the more we reach out for support and help from these areas of our life. All right, so here's some resources, like I said, that we have here at CCP for you to be able to get connected, get support, information on your FAFSA, your financial aid, or how to set up a payment plan. Also, this is a resource for people that need to have some support with electronic resources, bookstore. Here's your center and disability form. So even if you are a distant learner, you still qualify for additional services if you have a documented disability. You can submit that right here with any documentation that you have. Please take advantage of those services. They're there for you. As well as in here in the counseling center, we have a ton of workshops that are pre-recorded that can help you with specific areas that you may need support in. We also have our YouTube channel where you found this video that has other videos that can help support you during your learning and academic experience. And this is our learning lab where you can sign up for tutoring online or in person. Okay. We also have a Canvas tutorial, the CCP library, academic advising. There's a ton of resources here for you. All right. You can always reach out to us anytime if you have any trouble accessing any of these resources. So part 5 is what I talked about in the beginning, integrative learning. Learning with little people around all the time is a skill that can be mastered over time. It does take some time. It requires some practice. So don't expect to get it at full productivity on day 1, okay? We want to start with low expectations and build steadily upon small successes. So I've bulleted some strategies that could help, right? We want to begin maybe with small chunks of time spent in class or studying. That allows kids to adapt to getting into these study times regularly, routinely in the home. Again, making learning a fun family project, right? So even finding ways you can get your kids involved in what you're working on at school. Also getting help from your spouse, significant other, or other individuals in your family, domestic partners, people that are able to maybe pick up the load, right? Maybe make a dinner a couple of times a night, maybe do a few loads of laundry, maybe pick up some extra hours with having fun with the kids, right? Again, like I mentioned before, recruiting older kids to help with the younger ones if you have that capability. But I also put some more resources in here for you. So these are online resources for our young learners. So if they do have an electronic technology device like a tablet or a laptop or anything like that, they can visit these websites, and on these websites, there's all kinds of fun. We really love the Khan Academy. There's all kinds of fun learning adventures for them. They can choose what they would like to do. There is Audible has free stories for ages 0 to 18, so they can do audio books. There's Doodles with Moellams that helps do drawings and artistic work with children. So there's lots of resources here for you to use in integrating research or integrating learning with your young ones at home. I hope that this video has been informative and provided you with some tricks and tips that will help you be the most successful academic learner here at CCP. Like I mentioned, please feel free to reach out anytime to the counseling department. And I did add these references and links, so if you want to take a screenshot of those right there, I'm also going to have a link in the box below, as well as the QR code that was on the front of this video. So please feel free to reach out to counseling anytime, and everybody have a wonderful evening.